Wow, so NIO stock has been on an absolute rampage. But mark my words, what we've witnessed so far is nothing in comparison to what they will achieve going forward. And in fact, I am extremely confident that NIO will 10x over the next 5 years. And if you give me just a few minutes, I'll tell you exactly why. You see, the legendary Cathie Wood was able to identify and invest in Tesla all the way back in 2014. And now they are unquestionably considered the holy grail when it comes to EV companies by pretty much everyone with 2 eyes and a brain. And as many of you already know, Tesla is my biggest position by far, and for good reason. But what most people fail to realize about Tesla is that all of this didn't just happen overnight, nor over just a couple of years. In fact, it took them 17 long years since being founded way back in 2003 to get to the dominant position that they're in today. So now let's compare that to NIO, who is a promising, young, hungry competitor who just came into existence a measly 6 years ago and is priced right now like Tesla was back in 2013. But the truth of the matter is that NIO is much further along in the process than Tesla was 7 years ago. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing some information that will not only shock you, but it will make you think twice about not having some NIO in your portfolio. But more on that later. So I am beyond excited to share this information with you guys, and I'd appreciate an early thumbs up, as these videos do take a really long time to make. But with that being said, let's not waste any more time and let's get right into it. So I first recommended buying NIO stock on this channel back when it was trading at just under $12 a share. So for all of my subscribers who bought in, then you've already more than doubled your money in just a few months. So major congrats. Now me personally, not only will I not be selling a single share of NIO anytime soon, but I actually plan on doubling my position. Because there are 3 major catalysts in particular that are all quietly taking shape at the same time and will be the difference maker for NIO. And we'll be outlining each of them along with going over some key factors that not many people are talking about or even realizing, and yet they will have massive implications on NIO stock going forward. So the first major catalyst is without a doubt the record-breaking demand, and with it, their newfound ability to scale profitably. You see, in just 2 weeks, they will be reporting earnings, and due to the fact that the automotive industry shares their delivery numbers well in advance, I can already tell you that they will almost undoubtedly be shattering analyst revenue expectations for this quarter because they had more than triple-digit growth in both monthly and cumulative sales, with Q3 deliveries growing to 12,206 vehicles, which is up over 150% year over year. But also, and even more importantly, they will likely be announcing that they've achieved a record high gross margin, which is key because up until this year, they were actually losing money on each and every vehicle that they sold, which is obviously unsustainable. But this year, they took a massive leap in the right direction, with gross margins on their vehicles coming in at 10% for Q2. And since then, their CEO, Lee Bin, has dropped a multitude of hints in interviews pointing towards the fact that their margins have gotten even better. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if they managed to get that number all the way up to the 12 to 15% range for the 3rd quarter, which would be huge for them. But now here's where things get really interesting. You see, based on what we already know, it's likely that NIO will deliver around 40 to 45,000 vehicles in total this year. But they have also confirmed that by the end of 2021, they should be able to manufacture up to 150,000 vehicles and then 300,000 by 2022. And at their current trajectory, analysts are expecting them to be profitable by 2023, which is extremely impressive, especially when you consider that it took Tesla well over 14 years to become profitable. And for them to have the ability to scale up quickly and profitably is extremely important, especially considering that they can't even keep up with the current demand as it is right now, with several outlets reporting that they have a backlog of over a month or 2 worth of orders, and new potential customers are being quoted wait times of several weeks just to receive their cars. Which brings us to our second catalyst, and that's NIO's special sauce. You see, it's no surprise that demand for their cars has been through the roof, because they've managed to turn themselves into a lifestyle brand of sorts, with an almost cult-like following, and that has translated to their average customer referral rate skyrocketing this year to over 62% in the first half of 2020, which beats out iconic brands like BMW, Mercedes-Benz, and even Tesla. And what this simply means is that customers who buy NIO cars absolutely end up loving them, so much so in fact that they go on to refer their family and friends. And for NIO to have such a high level of customer satisfaction and loyalty, despite being such a young brand, is very impressive and no small accomplishment. And they're building and nurturing those relationships with their customers through a plethora of unique premium offerings and services, including NIO House, which is almost like an underground exclusive cafe that is only available to NIO users and their friends. Also, all NIO cars have the ability to swap out their batteries in 3 minutes or less, meaning in the time that it takes you to finish watching another Tai Lopez ad.
Here in my garage, just bought this new Lamborghini.
So before you can even learn the secrets to get rich in 5 minutes, your car is already fully charged and ready to go, which is pretty badass considering that it takes a Tesla over an hour to get a full charge at a supercharger station. But that's not all, because NIO's battery swaps are a superpower of sorts for them, and one that they are now transforming into a new business model entirely that'll be known as Battery as a Service, which they just officially launched last month. And what makes this so special is the fact that they will now be able to undercut the majority of their competitors, because it enables customers to buy the car without the battery itself. And as we should all know by now, the battery is by far the most expensive single part of any electric vehicle. So this will save customers upward of $10,000 in upfront cost when purchasing their electric car. And instead, they can now simply sign up for a battery subscription plan for as little as $140 a month. So this will make NIO cars significantly more affordable to more people, which will cause demand to surge tremendously over the next couple of years. And just 2 weeks ago, they announced that they have now officially done over 1 million battery swaps, with one car in particular having swapped out its battery over 500 times, which is kind of crazy to even think about. So clearly their customers absolutely love the feature. Some maybe even a little too much. But it doesn't end there. You see, Tesla's not the only company working towards achieving full self-driving and unlocking all of the revenue potential that comes with it. That's where NIO's partnership with Mobileye comes into place, a company that was acquired by Intel in 2017, but who has been working on achieving full autonomy since the early 2000s. And in fact, up until 2016, Tesla was using some of Mobileye's technology for their version 1 of autopilot. That was until an unfortunate crash occurred, at which point both sides basically started pointing fingers at each other, and things got pretty messy. So the partnership was ultimately terminated. But fast forward to today, just a couple of years later, and both companies are thriving. And while I have no doubt that Tesla is by far leading the way in achieving full autonomy, Mobileye's technology is still undoubtedly impressive and should not be completely ignored. In fact, they've even released footage of a 40-minute autonomous ride in the busy streets of Jerusalem with their camera-only system, similar to Tesla's setup, without requiring any bulky, expensive LiDAR system. So in my opinion, Mobileye is by far the second closest runner-up to Tesla when it comes to achieving full self-driving, and they actually have plans to release a full robotaxi service in early 2022 in several countries, including Jerusalem, France, Korea, and China. And here's where the massive opportunity lies for NIO, because they have agreed to mass produce the full self-driving system for Mobileye, but also to integrate the technology into its own electric vehicles for both the consumer markets and for Mobileye's driverless ride-hailing service, meaning that they will be the main supplier for Mobileye's global robotaxi fleet, which would be a tremendous growth driver for NIO, not only due to the large amount of orders that they could get directly from Mobileye themselves, but also since they will be able to implement the full self-driving technology into their own consumer cars, which will entice even more customers to the brand, and the sale of the software add-on will help increase their margins drastically. So now the third and final catalyst, we'll go over this one rather quickly since it's almost self-explanatory in the sense that it becomes quite obvious once you just put the pieces of the puzzle together, and that is the fact that NIO has a tremendous, almost built-in, unfair advantage over Tesla in China. And this is important to know because remember, China's EV market is about 4 times that of the US. Not only that, but by 2025, China wants 25% of all new cars sold to be electric, and that number will skyrocket to 60% by 2035. So the exponential growth that the EV sector as a whole will be experiencing over the next decade in China alone is unquestionable, and NIO is setting themselves up to be in the perfect position to capitalize on this exponential growth. Also, let's not forget that just earlier this year, when NIO was on the brink of bankruptcy, the Chinese government basically bailed them out with a $1 billion investment from several state-owned companies in return for a 24% stake in NIO. So the Chinese government would not even allow them to fail at this point because they themselves own a significant stake in NIO. But it doesn't just end there because China has a long history of doing whatever it takes to ensure that Chinese companies have the upper hand over American companies. So if you think that China is going to let Tesla, an American company, just eat up all the EV market share in China forever, you are absolutely crazy. Just ask Apple, who has seen its market share dwindle down to just 5% over the years, compared to Huawei, who absolutely dominates the Chinese market with close to half of the market share, in large part due to them getting a ton of special treatment from the government in the form of easy access to financing and high levels of government-sponsored grants and subsidies. So guys, I am becoming more and more bullish on NIO stock, and I truly believe that this is a 10x opportunity in the making that you do not want to miss out on. But as always, I don't want to just mention the positives, but also the risk. Because as with any investment, there are of course risks that come with it. And the biggest one to me would be the simple fact that NIO is a Chinese company, and so that makes them more vulnerable to political tensions. But look, at the end of the day, both countries are two massive superpowers that benefit tremendously from one another, and so whenever it's needed, they will get in a room together and work things out, as they usually do. Now, another concern that investors often have, especially after a stock has such a massive run-up as NIO stock has recently had, is the potential for a big pullback. And while that is definitely possible, just remember that many people were saying that a huge pullback was going to happen to Tesla back when they were trading at $700, then $900, then $1,200, and we all know how that movie played out. So as long as you're a long-term investor, don't worry about the short-term dips, because over the long run, those small dips will be absolutely irrelevant in comparison to what this company's potential is over the next 5 to 10 years, especially considering that they are still just in their early infancy stage. And so the best time to invest in a high growth company like NIO is before they truly start to scale, because that's when they will take things to a whole other stratosphere. So my recommendation is to always just dollar cost average in. It's the best strategy by far, and one that has been proven to work time and time again. Also, real quick, in case you missed the announcement and you want to connect with me on an even deeper level, 2 weeks ago I started my very first Twitter account, where I'll be frequently sharing my most inner thoughts on topics that I'm extremely passionate about, such as entrepreneurship, investing, mindset, and more importantly, the steps that I took to live a happier and more fulfilling life. So if these are things that would interest you, then consider following me along my journey on Twitter, and the link will be in the description box below. Also, big news from WeBull, as they have just let me know that if you use my link for a limited time only, they are now offering 3 completely free stocks valued up to $1,600 just for signing up and depositing $100 into your account. So I don't know about you, but I've always loved me some free money. So if you don't already have a WeBull account, then I definitely recommend you take advantage of this offer. I personally use their platform for some of my portfolios, and it's extremely easy to use, free, and featured packed. So give it a shot and let me know what free stocks you end up getting. Now, if you found any value in this video at all, and I hope you did, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on that notifications bell. Also, I love talking to you guys, and I always try my very best to reply to as many comments as possible. So let me know your thoughts on NIO, and let me know what stocks or topics you want me to talk about next in the comment section below. But with that being said, especially if you made it to this point in the video, I have so much love for you. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have an absolutely amazing rest of your day. Peace.